Hello and welcome back to the last episode of this season. So we're going to do a solo episode for the final of this season. Thank you so much to everyone who has listened to this season. Let me know your thoughts, and also don't forget to subscribe so you know you get a notification whenever the new season is out as well, and that really helps the podcast get seen and everything. So if you could do that, we thank you very much. And also if you want to give me a review, or if you want to give me 5 stars, that would also be great. But this week we're going to talk about judgment, because judgment is something that's came up this week for me in terms of a few things have come up when I'm reading the book Woman Don't Know You Pretty. I thought they were very valuable. I thought I would talk about those. I thought I would talk about what kind of judgment is holding us back from achieving our dreams and how to get past that. And I also wanted to talk about, how to get rid of the judgment of others, or even begin the path of getting rid of the judgment of others, and also stop judging other people, most importantly, because it's a low vibration, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But firstly, we're going to talk about the sponsor, which is BetterHelp. I've been in therapy a lot because I'm dating again, and I'm also a lot of triggers come up because when you've been through other relationships and you're moving into new relationships, you can be triggered a lot, and you can bring in this heavy baggage of fear of things turning out the way they were. So I'm kind of in therapy for that at the minute, and that's kind of what I'm working on. So if anyone else is working on that, let me know. So if you're feeling the same, or you're moving into new relationships and you want to, navigate that without being severely triggered, highly recommend therapy. And you can get 10% off your first month with betterhelp.com/Sinead. That is betterhelp.com/Sinead. And it's very affordable, guys. It's so easy to access on the app. I cannot recommend it enough, and you guys love it as well. So thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring another season, which is amazing. So yeah, today we're going to talk about judgment, because I feel like there's a lot of paths we can go down in terms of judgment. But first of all, let's look at how judgment is holding you back. All right, because people will message me and they'll say, Sinead, I really want to start this business. I really want to do this, but I'm scared of the judgment of other people. And a great book for anything to do with judgment is The Judgmental Detox by Gabby Bernstein. Absolutely loved it. Made me look at myself, made me look at my own judgment. And you can sit here and be triggered now by thinking, I don't judge anyone and I don't judge people. So blah, blah. But there is this internalized judgment that we are just conditioned with through, just everything we've grown up with. We don't actually realize. But when you realize how you've let judgment into your life in a bad way and good ways, no, there's no good ways of judgment. Judgment's bad. I mean, we get there and it's a process. But once you learn how it's stopped your growth, and you start to be aware of it and uncover it, then I can't describe it. It's like you literally take these dark corners and then you remove them, and then you push past your own judgment and the judgment of others, and then you achieve your goals. So the first thing I want to talk about is I'm actually sitting in my bedroom, guys. Hi everyone from my bedroom. I thought it would be a little scenery update if anyone's watching it on YouTube. So yeah, the first thing I want to talk about is judgment. What you think is judgment of others can sometimes be judgment of your own self, and you need to dive in. So today we're going to dive in to this question of how can I push past the judgment of others, right? I'm going to give you examples that will help you understand it a bit more, but obviously everyone has different circumstances of what they want to remove judgment from. So for example, Sinead, I want to start a business. I want to talk on my story and do all these things. This is a good example. All right. So you're like, I can't talk on my story because I'm scared of the judgment of others. You have to really look at that, because I personally would never judge anyone for talking on their stories, because it is so natural to me. It doesn't feel like I've never internalized that as judgment. Although people obviously do judge, but I never really felt that judgment, because I don't judge it myself, and I look at other people who chat on their stories and find it so natural and normal. Whereas if you internalize your judgment of that, you're usually judging yourself, because if you've seen one of your friends or someone that you know talking on their stories, you may judge them. Because if you're thinking people are judging you, you are judging another person. I know that may be hard to hear, and I'm going to explain it a little bit more, but a good example is the things, I'm going to talk about all the things that I feel like I judge, and I'm trying to get through my own judgmental detox. And I've went through a judgmental detox, and every single day I feel like is a judgmental detox. A good example is, whenever you want to take a picture in public and you're like, everyone's looking at me, right? I hate taking photos in public. Which is hard to, I know it's very hard to believe, because I used to do that for a living. I'm pretty much been a blogger for I don't know how many years. I really hate taking photos in public. I feel like everybody is judging me. I get really overwhelmed. I'll take like one photo and I'll run away. Whilst there's other people who will go out in public and not even care and take videos. Kegs, for example, so good at being like, take a photo of me. He will strut, he will walk, he will do anything, he will talk in front of anyone. Whilst I do actually genuinely panic, but it's an internalized judgment that is keeping me back, because I had to look at that judgment when I was doing the judgmental detox. I'm like, okay, why am I so judgmental of myself and others when I'm taking a photo of myself in public? And it's true, I probably judge other people. Like if someone got up and started doing all this stuff in public, I would judge them, okay? And where does this come from? So these are the steps in the book to get rid of judgment. Where does this come from? Okay, so from all I've ever known, like when people are taking photos of themselves, I've been around people all the time. They're like, oh my God, who does she think she is? Look at her posing away. Or maybe I even hear that when I'm posing, I don't know, from people. And I internalized that as, that is not right. I shouldn't do that. People will judge me. That will make me embarrassed. I shouldn't do that. So that one moment that somebody maybe said it or other people said it in life, I internalized that as, I shouldn't do that. So I'm genuinely judging myself because I would judge others for the same thing. As I said, speaking on stories, I never judge myself. I would never judge another person. So if I don't judge another person, I don't judge myself. So you have to really look at where these judgments come from, because they're also really, really holding you back. So if you look at you judging, speaking on stories, look at that and be like, okay, where did that come from? Now, a good example is Kegs told me when I was talking about this on my Instagram, and he goes, oh my God, Sinead, this makes so much sense, because when obviously me and Kegs are from the same place. So when I started, talking on my stories, doing all the stuff that I'm doing now, people would talk. I was actually away. I was in Australia. So I never really heard, you know what I mean? I got a little get out of jail free card because I never heard any of the judgments. I kind of probably knew. And he said he remembered somebody, everyone talking, who does she think she is, chatting on her stories, can't cope with her, blah, blah, blah. And I get that. It's very unfamiliar for someone to come on very confidently, talk on their stories. It is uncomfortable for people. Please understand that usually someone that's judging something is a very uncomfortable, unfamiliar feeling, and they're not okay with it, so they're judging it, okay? Kegs internalized that, right? And he stopped himself for so many years chatting on a story because he internalized speaking on a story as embarrassing. Who does she think she is? Who does he think he is? And he really stopped himself. And he still to this day says that every time he goes to put up a story that he gets that feeling. He gets that feeling of judgment he's like, oh my God, I wonder what they're saying about me. And this is where you have to realize that even judging another person in front of a group of people or other people can stop people from fulfilling their dreams. Kegs could be destined to be a TV presenter or whatever he needs to be, but that judgment could be forever holding him back just because it was a passing comment. By the way, it's just a passing comment of people having conversation filler because they are not having a growth mindset. They're having conversation fillers to connect. So they're connecting over judgment, and then they'll talk and connect over that. Please know there's other ways of connection than judging. And I get a bit of gossip here and there. Not a bother, but please remember the damage that judging someone can do to another person, especially if that person wants to do the thing that you're judging people on. A good example of this is judging someone on their weight. We've all been there. We've all been in conversations where people have went, have you seen her? She has put on a few pounds. And what this shows is that even when we're younger, we suck everything up like a sponge. So unconsciously, we soak that in. We soak that in as, if I put on weight, people are going to talk. It's not okay. And you sitting there saying about weight or anything, although you're not saying it's not okay, you talking about it and making a statement, making it and judging it, is internalizing to the other person, especially younger generations, that putting on weight and doing these things like speaking on your story, doing something different in society, all these things are not okay and it's not normal. The first thing you gotta fucking realize, sorry, I'm cursing. The first thing you gotta realize is that we're all individual characters with unique personalities and we all have different paths in life. No one has the same path. And if we all had the same path, we'd all be doing the exact same thing. We'd all be liking the same boy. You know what I mean? So we all have individual flavors. This is why we like different music, different artwork, and people are going to have different paths in life. So for you to judge someone on the path that they are in, then why? We're all different and unique. And the sooner we get that in our heads, the better. And when you actually are sitting there talking about judgment, it can be passing comments, and I understand it. And I'm the same. Like, I have looked at the things that I judge, and I'm hoping to bring up all the things that I judge in order to question it every single day. So, for example, if you judge someone who is speaking on stories, who's confident, you have to look at that and be like, why am I judging this person? You look at someone on their stories or doing something like having a picture in public, right? Now, I have friends that, like Siobhan, always gets her camera out and does stuff. Everyone, and I used to be like, oh my God, I actually felt embarrassed. Like, I could feel the judgment and the embarrassment in my body. And I'm like, what is wrong? What is going on here? And once I started to realize it, I started to remove it because I had to melt it away with like questioning it. So what is it that I'm judging and how can I overcome it? Looking at someone who's taking a photo online, like, I know these are random examples because they probably relate to me more than they relate to you, but let's just say you're judging someone for anything really, like just the way they act, the way they are, they're being confident, like especially, right, let's go back to like talking on stories. Talking on stories is a very confident thing to do. And yes, it's very unfamiliar for people, especially in like small towns and stuff. It is very unfamiliar, and I get that. And it can be very like, oh my God, what is she doing? What is she talking about? But when you look at that, what is the qualities that this person has? And it is confidence. It is confidence and the act of not caring what other people think at that moment because they're fulfilling something. And that really can trigger people because they're just being authentically themselves. Like, usually being authentically themselves can trigger people, and I get it. But also look at it and be like, okay, what is the qualities this person have that I'm judging? Maybe I don't want to care what people think. Like, I would love to be able to take photos on the street and have everyone look at me and not care what people think. I can put my hands up and say, I judge that because I want that. All right. And judgment always comes out in refined desire. That's a quote from 12 Rules of Life, I think. And it really stuck with me. Judgment usually comes from a redefined desire. And I'm not saying like, oh, everyone wants to talk in their story, but like being authentically yourself can sometimes be triggering whenever you're kind of not, if you don't know who you truly are and you're not being your true, full, authentic self. So that is a way you can really look at your own judgment. So ask yourself now, what is it that I judge, look down on? What is it I talk with my friends? And really search, even write in your journal, why am I judging this person? What makes me feel uncomfortable? And what is something that I desire here? And I know that is very triggering for people. I understand that. It is very triggering for you to say like, what are you jealous of? It's not really about that. It's about what's going on here, because when you remove judgment, you are getting out of your low vibration. So we have a very good meditation in the Brave Way, which is a 21-day meditation course, just plugging my own business. And the actual judgmental detox meditation is actually free on YouTube for you to do. I'll put it in the show notes below. So I want you, and I've probably done this in the podcast before, but please think of something that you judge. All right. Think about you judging someone, just not accepting exactly who they are and just kind of just being uncomfortable with it. All right. That feeling in your body is not the vibe. It is a low vibration. It keeps you low, and we need to remove these judgments in order to radiate at a higher frequency, in order to attract more amazing opportunities in life. Even notice when you're reading something like, or you're engaging in gossip, notice how you feel. Notice how that makes you feel. It does not make you feel good. Yes, gossip can be good for those 2 seconds because you may have And like gossip feels good to people, especially if they're the ones with information. I don't know what book it was I read or human behavior it was, but anyway, gossip feels good because you feel superior in that moment. You feel superior because you have a piece of information that someone else does not have. So you feel superior, which feeds your ego, which validates you, when in fact, like, you're not superior. We're all the same. We're all on the same level. No one's superior. No one's inferior. And the sooner you realize that, the better. And the way you can remove your gossip and your judgment will upscale your life. Now, I want you to think of fully accepting someone for exactly who they are. Like, it feels beautiful. It's lovely. Accepting someone for exactly who they are, because we're all very unique human beings. We all have different flavors, different tastes, different goals, different passions. And the sooner you accept that, the more beautiful life becomes. We can sit and judge people over everything. I think I remember talking about this. Remember there was that whole thing about Molly May, and everyone was like, she was getting attacked basically for saying something like 24 hours in a day, blah, blah, blah. And people were very triggered. And I get that. But like, I just felt like she's on her own path. She's very young. Why are we judging her? Because when I was 21, I was down necking vodka and Magaluf and doing shots and doing all sorts. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, who am I to judge what someone does when they're 21? When you're 21, you are making all the mistakes you could ever make in your entire life. You are learning how to navigate life. And then who are we to judge that? You know what I mean? Accept everyone for where they are in life. Let them make their own mistakes. And trust me, life becomes more and more beautiful. So the next thing is, how do we stop judging others, and how can we use what we've just learned to instill it into everyday life? And compassion and empathy is the best thing for your judgmental detox, for yourself and for other people. A good example, the Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber situation on TikTok. I don't know if it's just my For You page, but I feel like there's this massive judgment between these two girls, and there's like this big fight about she did this and she did that, and then everyone's like taking sides, which in itself is ridiculous because there's also a man involved in this. And of course, the girls are getting the judgment, which makes no sense. It really annoys me. It's internalized misogyny. We'll talk about that after. It's just like this girl against girl. Why can't we build girls up and have compassion and empathy? You look at Selena Gomez, you know, she was with a person for so long and now he's with someone else. And, you know, everyone does have this thing that Selena and Justin should be together. But you know, first of all, have compassion for her. She went through a breakup very publicly to like one of the most famous men in the entire world. And then have also compassion for Hailey Bieber, who is married to one of the most famous men in the world, but also has this massive shadow of someone else in her life, all these fans. And it's just like, imagine being any one of those girls. No matter the situation, that must be tough. So instead of judging each individually for their actions, start to be like, okay, maybe their actions are valid, or maybe all these things are valid because they're going through a lot. There's a lot going on. And the thing is, if it was you and you're, for example, Hailey Bieber, and you're with the love of your life and you're happy and everyone keeps telling you that you're not happy and that you should be with someone else, imagine how that would feel. It would be awful. No matter what happens, like she could actually be so much worse. Like she could be triggered and be like, fuck all yous, like da 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 da, and like go mad. But in fact, she's not really doing much. You know what I mean? She's just kind of, and think about what we would do in that situation. Imagine having to live up to someone else's shadow the rest of your life. So it's like, we need to stop judging other, especially girls. Can we please just stick together as women and stop judging other women on their choices? Because actually, I was reading the book, The Woman Don't Know You Pretty. I will get a few statements out of it as well. But also, to stop judging other people, you need to realize how hateful it is when you're being judged. Especially, I've been judged for many years because on everything that I do, and you know, in my relationships, in my life, and I'm literally just trying to navigate the best way I can. I make mistakes and I get judged on it, and it's a horrible feeling because you're just trying your best and people are like, no, you can't do that. You shouldn't have done that. No, this. You got to realize that I'm a human being, and also you're a human being. So you're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to, you know, fuck up. You're allowed to fail. just as I'm allowed to feel, you need to have compassion for yourself and for others and that will just like melt away as well. The judgment from yourself, like have compassion, you're a human being. Also to get rid of the judgment of others. All right, when you want to go forward, I cannot explain how amazing it is to push past the judgment of others and actually step into your true, authentic self. All right. So it's very different whenever you're making yourself small, you're not doing what you love, and someone judges you because they're judging you on the person that you're not truly authentically yourself. It's not very nice. But when you're truly living in your passion and you're being judged, trust me, there's this resilience that comes with being your true authentic self. And once you push past this judgment of others and just put yourself out there to do exactly what you want to do, it's so magical because you're living in your passion and you've got this fire in your tummy. I can only speak from experience because I myself am judged, but I'm living my passion. I'm living my purpose. I feel, and you know what? Judgments do get me down. Sometimes I'm not living up to my full potential. And that's because I do get judgment. And the worst thing ever is not doing what I'm supposed to do in life because someone else says it's not okay or I should be doing something else. There's almost this feeling in the pit of your stomach. It's almost this big, like, and you're not doing it. You know you should be doing it, but you're not doing it. But trust me, guys, when you push past the judgment of others and look at your own internal judgment and start personal developing on all of this stuff, questioning why am I judging? Why am I judging myself? Why do I feel jealous? Why do I need to say this about this person? You up level your life to this new amazing person. And that brings me to the next bit. So I'm reading this book, Woman Don't Know You Pretty, and I just wanted to like read out a few things because I felt like this would help with any judgmental detox. So there was a little quote and it said, first things first, flaws aren't really there. Flaws are man-made. And yes, I mean man-made. So this explains of people judging these flaws when in fact we made these flaws. Example, the beauty industry, look like this, do this with your hair, do this with your skin should look like this, your body should look like this. These flaws are man-made because society has made us this way. And you need to take a step back and just realize that there's no such thing as flaws. Like, they don't exist. They're not there. They're preconceived by society. We determine our own selves. Once you take a step back and realize that flaws actually don't exist, they're just man-made, you can stop judging yourself as well. So that was like a lovely little bit from the book. And the book as well kind of talked about what I just talked about, that she said, I realized that judging other women is usually just a quick way to get out of dealing with the things we dislike about ourselves, which I know, guys, is very triggering, but please look internally in this. And then she said, we seek comfort in other women's perceived flaws and attempt to avoid addressing our own insecurities. That really spoke to me as well. Another good bit was, every time you catch yourself critiquing a woman on the choices she makes, who she sleeps with, how she dresses, sit in it. Reflect. What is it about her that makes you feel so uncomfortable? And perhaps she actually reminds you of yourself, of the parts of yourself that you're ashamed of. Or perhaps she's the very person that you want to be. Sometimes we dislike women simply because they're making the bold choices that we are too afraid to make ourselves. The choices that society has made us feel that are wrong or shameful because they go against the patriarchal narrative. And it's true. That is so true. Looking at this book is great, guys. I'm going to put it in the show notes. Woman Don't Know You Pretty. It's like, it can be a bit extreme, but at the same time, I feel like everyone needs to know this information, because if everyone read this book, we would stop judging, especially woman on woman. I feel like we should work together and use other women as inspiration as well. And then there was another little bit I just wanted to talk about as well. So this is a great one as well. If we can learn to view other women as opportunities for inspiration and empowerment in our own lives and realize that there is enough room for all of us to be happy, the relationships and bonds we form together will be unstoppable. And this is to realize that women, we can use all these women as inspiration. There is room for everyone. Sometimes even if someone's in your field of work and they're your competitor, you're so quick to be like, oh no, and like judge them or pick the bad parts out, when in fact there is literally room for everyone to succeed, and let's work together as women and build each other up. And then the last thing that I just wanted to say from this book was a beautiful quote. Well, it wasn't a quote, it was like just a part in the book, and I put on my story and a lot of people really reacted to it, so I thought I would just put it on the podcast because the podcast is here forever, isn't it? It's not like a story, it's gone in 24 hours. So it said, stop shaming that girl in the club who's dancing her tits off in a short dress and living her best life, and go and bloody join her. Stop assuming that confident women hate you just because they love themselves. She isn't your competition. This isn't about her. It's about you. I love that one. I just felt like, why are we tearing everybody down when we could actually be looking at everyone and be like, okay, what part of this can I put into my life? What part of this can I take from inspiration? And we can begin this beautiful journey into, you know, self-awareness, self-love, self-compassion. So I feel like your duty now is to really look at your own judgments. And I remember reading the Judgmental Detox thinking it was going to be about how I can get rid of other people's judgments to live my best self, when in fact it really did show a mirror of all the judgments that come up within me. And it's about looking at your own judgments and learning from them, learning what we can take for them and how we can uncover them and how we can let them go, and we can accept everyone for the way they are and accept ourselves, because the sooner we accept everyone else, the sooner we accept ourselves, and we can all live to our full potential. And I think we have to do this for our younger generation. Please remember that when you are talking or judging another person in front of a young child, you could be stamping on their dreams that they one day could want. Even something like, say your mum and dad are chat about a farmer, and you're like, and then you're older and you fall in love with a farmer, you feel like you can't do that because it's so judged. Or I know that's such a random fucking example, but even when I was younger, I remember if somebody had nice things, oh, look at them showing off. That was such a thing. And then when I grew older and I started to have nice things, I became successful, I was able to do nice things and go to nice hotels, I honestly felt ashamed. I felt ashamed and like embarrassed, which is so shit, because I still feel like that. I'm like, oh, I won't put that up, or I won't do that, or because I internalized having nice things. It's like showing off, or I internalized it wrongly, when in fact, like, we should be looking at like, oh my God, how amazing. She's like living her best life. She's pursuing her dreams and becoming successful. And I could take something from that, but instead, like, I internalized that like being successful and having nice things is like showing off. But then you have to realize that if you are saying that in front of your young children, they're going to feel embarrassed of their achievements because it's seen as showing off, or anything you talk about in front of them is, they're going to pick up on it. And we don't want to hold them back from whatever it is that they want. So it has to start with us. It has to start with us accepting everyone, taking away our judgments, so that everyone else can move forward without judgment of other people, and everyone else can live their best life. And then, you know, another question that people asked me was, how do you deal with the judgment of other people? And that is something I get a lot. But I've done my own judgmental detox. I can really understand the human behavior of someone who's judging me or being trolls or whatever. But what I really feel sorry for is the people in their lives, the people that are judging me, the people in their lives are hearing. So if they have children and they hear, oh, look at that Sinead Hegarty thinking she has something, chatting on our podcast, right? That child is who I feel sorry for, that it's around them. That person they're around is who I feel sorry for, because they are internalizing all these judgments. Oh, you know, I could never have a podcast because my mom or my friend says that Sinead Hegarty chat shit, or, you know, they don't even know. It's so unconscious that it's like literally ingrained in them, especially if they're younger. So that is the people I feel sorry for. I've done my own judgmental detox. I just hope those other people that judge do theirs, because I'm like rubber skin, like it just bounces off me. I'm just like bounce. So And especially if you're being your true authentic self, like when you're being your true authentic self, it's really, really easy to pass judgment because you're like, well, this is just me. If you don't like it, then I'm sorry. So that's one. And I also wanted to, when I talked about this on my Instagram, I asked people what they thought of this conversation, and people wrote in the things that they've internalized because they started to really understand. And I just wanted to let you listen to some of the things that people said, because this will make you really understand the impacts it has on the younger generation. Somebody says, I used to judge bigger girls in bikinis because my mum did. I've never felt confident in a bikini. We need to stop the pattern. When we're younger as well, we had those magazines that when the celebrities were wearing bikinis, and we internalized, they were like, look at this, bad bikini bodies, good bikini bodies. And you know what I mean? Like, this is all passed down to us, but this is where it stops, because now this young girl is not ever confident in a bikini because she's seen her mum judging other people's in bikinis. Oh, this is a good one. My mum went off bread for Lent when I was like 7, and I still remember internalized it. Now, that is another thing. My mum always used to go off bread for Lent. So I internalized that bread is bad. Bread is not bad at all. Do you know what I mean? So it's little things like that, like you'll start to pick up. So this is why I'm saying all these. Someone says, this is so true and definitely pinpoints my judgments because it's just what I'm insecure about. So please notice what you're insecure about and realize that those are the judgments that you've picked up and that you're judging yourself on. Somebody says, oh my God, yes, I don't speak on stories because I feel judged, but maybe I do judge others. Of course you do, because if you didn't judge others, it would be so easy and simple to speak on your stories and to do all these things, because you wouldn't judge other people. You don't judge yourself. It's like a vicious cycle. Somebody says, my sister judges everybody, and now I see her daughter who is 13 very insecure and no confidence. It really hurts my heart. Do you know what I mean, guys? This is another thing as well. Like, you're affecting younger people by judging. So I really just want you to think about it, and we're going to take a step forward today and not judge. So this is there, and also go easy on yourself. I've been doing this and understanding my judgments all the time. Even simple things like, you know, watching someone do really well in your field of work, you could easily be like, why is she doing so well? Judging. But no, I'm just jealous. No, I would love to be doing that work. It's a thing that always comes up, and you need to, you know, realize that and grow and be better at this and show compassion to other people and yourself. And also a journal is very good for this. And also the Brave Way meditation course does a lot of work on this as well. And you can always get the discount code, which is Sinead Says 10, with 10% off the Brave Way as well. But yeah, I'll leave it there for today. There's a lot to think about. Let me know what you think in the reviews or send me a message on Instagram. And I have a little break now for a season break. And then I'll be back with more. We're going to do some cracky episodes, more girly talks, and some amazing guests coming up on the next season as well. But I just want to say a massive thank you for being with me this season. We are on episode, I don't even know now, like 70 something. That's mental. So that's like so many hours. That's crazy. So yeah, thank you so very much, and good night.